I unknowingly built a business on my unhealed need for validation and attention. It makes so much sense. First of all, nobody really taught me how to do business. I had some lessons in sales and I had some mindset stuff, but nobody really helped me with the psychology of it. And I never planned on being business. I got into business because my first husband left on a Wednesday afternoon, September 17th, 2002. And I had just gotten a real estate license on a whim at his pressing. He knew. And at a time in my life when I felt most rejected, most unlovable, most confused, most insecure, business, selling, and real estate scooped me up and gave me validity. And over the last 20 years, I have had a lot of experiences, but I have also in the last 5 years I've processed grief from that for the last 20 years, but I have really processed a lot of rejection, not just rejection from my ex-husband, that's a biggie, but a lot of the ways I reject myself, a lot of the ways I've been rejected in life and business. I know that's a strong word. And part of the thing that is frustrating for me when I want to share something with you is when I have a connection to something, I don't just have one connection. It's not linear. It's like a spider web. It's a matrix. And, when I first took sales classes in my very early real estate career, they taught us to use relationships for business. And of course, they positioned it in a way that sounds very benign. But they taught us to love on people for business. And listen, loving on people does work for business. I haven't completely untangled that because I don't want to be stone and cold. And so I've been used and I've probably used. Not intentionally, consciously, like that. It just happens. And the coaching world is so weird. I saw someone a couple months ago post something about just really being bummed that her coach, who she worked with 2 years, she thought was a friend, and that coach no longer really interacts with her. I don't remember my exact response, and it was well thought out, and it was soft. It wasn't hard or snippy or whatever. It was acknowledging the pain she feels. I felt like that. I felt that before for sure. Because you're in this very intimate relationship with a coach. One that we don't have with help. My doctor had her goddamn hand and a speculum up my vagina yesterday, and I don't feel that close with her. We love these people. They love us. And this dual relationship thing is a little bit of a mess. And yet we're doing personal professional services. We're not. Our personhood is involved in our services. It's complicated. I don't have answers yet, but I know that last year was a year of unplugging all the tangled lights, right? My Christmas tree is still up. All the ornaments are away, but the lights are there. And I have an artificial tree. It comes with lights. But used to, we would have the lights and they would all be tangled up. And I have been untangling things for quite a while now. And that comes with grief. And that comes with seeing my responsibility, not just blaming other people, but damn, there's some shit I did not see. And it doesn't feel good. Y'all, we get to see all the fun parts of business, but nobody's running around saying, oh, here's how I got screwed, or here's how I got used or manipulated, or here's what people don't see. And a lot of times, one of the pains that I have, listen, this is a very childlike part of me, okay? This is not the adult in me. The adult in me gets it, but one of the childlike, maybe a teenager pain part in me is like, the most grief I get professionally comes from people who haven't done what I've done. There are people who don't have this experience, so they don't know how bothersome or offensive or really rude their comments or their reactions are. And I wish I was somebody, my husband is so good about not taking things personally. There's a flip side to that. And I'm just a human who has to work to unpersonalize it, because I take it the way I take it. Whether I cognitively know it's about me or not, there is a process involved in detaching from that. I was born with a sticky nervous system, genetically, and then also I was conditioned to be people pleasing and to tune into everybody else's wants and needs. And so I didn't know how to have my own needs. And so as I go forward, all this stuff has been mixed up also with some personal health stuff. But almost 2 years ago, I reached out for some psychological help and went a whole layer deeper than I've ever gone in the coaching world. It's not a mindset stuff, y'all. Too many of us are trying to fix things with coaching and mindset. And it's a lot deeper than that. Somebody asked me on TikTok today, how did you heal your overspending and dopamine chasing? And it was a 10-minute answer, and that's not even enough. It wasn't just a how-to. You know, we're trained in Amazon Prime. Listen, I love it. I love that I ordered my skinny syrup for my coffee, and last night at 11, it was here at 4 a.m. I'm in that world too. And a lot of this stuff's going to take time. And listen, my bank account is fine. I have savings. My bank account is fine. But I untied a lot of my business ties. I untied a handful of friendship ties in the last year. I walked away from things that were no longer serving me, and I've had a lot of grief about it. I've even had some regret. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have. I stand by every decision I made. God, wouldn't it be nice if it were so simple? And maybe for some people it is. And I'm not going to judge myself for being complex and sensitive and feeling and disillusioned and deconstructing. I don't want to be a fairy. I don't want to be illusioned. I looked up the word disillusion the other day. Ignorance is bliss. And if you really want to see, the truth is not pretty. It's not pretty in ourselves. It's beautiful, but it's not pretty. It's not pretty systemically. I was reaching for some help for myself. I was like, I'm so disillusioned. Like, I just want to give up on all these things. Like, what do I believe in? I don't believe in anything anymore. But I also had a knowing that disillusionment is probably a major part of a spiritual process. Like, the seeing reality for what it is and no longer believing the propaganda is grief-inducing. It doesn't come with an Amazon Prime solution. And so I had this knowing that it's probably a part of a spiritual process of not bypassing, but being able to really meet the world where it is in reality from a more healed place. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. And so I'm like, disillusionment and spirituality, like this has to be more than just the human experience, or like it's part of something, I don't know. And turned out there was some article, I don't know, the first one was like, be grateful that that you can see. And I felt relief with that. There was like 5 things about the benefits of becoming disillusioned. And I didn't save it. I knew I could come back to it or figure out my own benefits from being disillusioned. But the first one was, you can stand in the fact that you're not ignoring the truth. And I can also, it didn't say this, but I can also own the coping mechanisms in me and the parts of me that did not want to feel the pain of seeing the truth. And I'll tell you what, something I've gotten good at over the last few years. 3 years ago, I had a therapist and said, hey, I don't want to disassociate from my uncomfortable feelings anymore. Not recommended, but totally recommended, but not recommended. I am feeling like when I sat down at my desk today, there were like my professional parts were here, and my professional parts have been on sabbatical for a long time. Like, I'm feeling back. Little Eminem there. I'm feeling a little bit back, and I'm going slow and taking myself slow, but my professional self is here and clear, and I have processed a shit ton of information, of emotions, of body stuff, lots of body stuff, processed lots of body stuff, had lots of body stuff removed, and I have grieved. And grief comes in layers. I've been grieving and releasing in dreams. In my dreams, every single night, 3 people show up from my past, show up to be released. And it's interesting because I don't really have to do anything. They just show up and I remember who they are. And when I wake up, I forgive myself, I forgive them, and I move on. Maybe I don't forgive them. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. Listen, it's not even about forgiving them. They didn't ask for forgiveness. They don't give a shit. I forgive myself and I untouch that. But it's fascinating because some really old stories and random wounds and people, and then some pretty significant ones. But it's like there's a line of old wounds that I never felt the pain of are coming to release. And as I do that, I feel lighter and lighter. I'm just excited to be back, sharing my heart, showing my work. I disintegrated in the last 2 years. We talk about bug soup and we flippantly say, oh yeah, we get mushy. No, I literally disintegrated. I had body parts removed. I had a heart attack. I had some physical things that went along with it. It's all perfect. I see how much support I actually need, and I'm so okay with it. But what I've disintegrated is a lot of my identity that was trained by a patriarchal, high demand religion, systemic bullshit lie. And part of me is really excited, but then part of me is, oh shit, people are not gonna like this. Like, this is not gonna help me make money. But my goal is, I will say, I did a whole nother struggle with the things I see in capitalism that are really hurting people. But here I am working for myself, right, in a free market, and I appreciate that. And so what I came to, instead of going off to live in the woods somewhere off grid, which is not an option for me, I need my Tempur-Pedic mattress and my heating pad. But what I came to was, I want to buy and sell, and I want to sell my services without exploitation of the client. I don't want to exploit myself or the world. So for me, my buying and selling is this trade of services without exploitation of you or without me. And I think I did a pretty good job, not 100% perfect, but I think I was really good about not exploiting other people. Again, not perfect. And I'm sure there's areas like where I see there's a certain kind of marketing that I am done with, that I just won't play anymore. There's a certain kind of pricing that I don't want to do anymore. I'm still figuring all that out because I know that my services have value. I know that conversations with me change lives, they change businesses, they change trajectories, they change nervous systems, they change families. And so I'm figuring out how to continue to be a small business owner, selling my services, sharing my heart, showing my work. I am not my business, but I am in my business. And how do I do that without exploitation? Yeah, authenticity. I think I'll tell you, a part comes in right now that is really scared. There is a part of me that's no one wants to buy this. There are 4 or 5 things in any market that people want to buy because they're unconscious. And I guess what I'm saying is I don't want to make sales based on unconsciousness. My people, like my ideal buyers and clients, are not unconscious to what they're buying. They say, sell them what you want, give them what you need. I'm not playing in that. I'm going to sell them what they need. And if they don't think they need it, they're not my people. Okay, I have 3 coaching calls today and they start in 2 minutes.